Hey everyone, thank you for joining us. My name's Wyatt.
I'm Julian.
We're from LITHOGRAF.com.
And this is the LITHOGRAF Podcast.
It's on.
It has begun.
It's,
It sounds good.
It does?
Maybe we center it a little bit.
This is it.
This is the beginning of the end.
It's happening right now.
I feel dumb wearing these. I'm just going to take them off.
Let me hear them.
It's clean.
It's clean?
That's not sweat. That's water.
Okay.
That's clean shampoo water. Right?
Sounds...
Listen to that.
How can you do this? How can you hear
I
yourself
like
talk?
it. I like it.
I feel like... Okay, go to... No. He's not going to work for this. Well...
We didn't think about a topic to talk about.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter.
All we have to say is, welcome to the LITHOGRAF Podcast.
This is it.
Ladies and gentlemen. She, he, and Zer.
She, he, and her.
Yeah. Coda, say hi. Coda, get up in there. Say hello.
Coda is the face and the brand of the lithograph.
Yeah, he's...
Lithograph.
Yeah, you're a lot.
And he's really attacking.
Oh, we should turn the fan off as well.
It's hot as fuck in here, though.
I'm not hot anymore.
Turn it off.
Okay. Coda, you might have to get out of here. You're a little too wound up. Oh, who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? Ah. Yeah, I mean, that probably improved the quality.
The sound itself.
Marginally. Let's see. Because there was some noise whenever I looked on the thing.
Now do we talk? What happens if you talk now?
It sounds tinny.
What do you mean?
Tinny. Okay, Coda, you gotta get out of here.
He's too hyper.
You can hear him.
Really?
Yeah, you can hear him being annoying.
Okay.
We should kick him out.
Sorry, Coda. We'll have to give you a muzzle at some point.
Yeah.
I think even if you take off his collar, it should be fine. Because if you just make him sit, you know?
Okay, bud. Okay, sit. Thank you.
What an obedient little coyote.
He does look like a coyote.
I think you should tell the story of how you got Coda.
Okay.
It's an interesting one.
Okay.
And kind of lay out what the people do, you know, like give some background of the actual,
for sure,
the shelter, because it's a good one.
So he is, well, we don't know what he is.
Right.
So he's
a little mutt.
Since this is audio, we can't film him right now. But if you can see the logo on the YouTube page and on the website, that is him. He looks like a little wolf, a little coyote baby.
Yes.
And he's all black and has orange eyes. Mm-hmm. He's a very...
And his ears are very perked up.
Yeah, his very pointy ears. And he... Basically, you know, I was living by myself and I needed a friend. And I saw his picture and he was just this little, like, runt, this little meatball. He was like... I gotta show you him. He looked like such an idiot.
I think I've seen it, but it's like
his
faint.
tongue sticking out. Yeah. He's just like... He's just this little meatball, and I was like, that's the one. I don't know what it was. and I was living in Denver at the time.
Coincidentally, right above me.
Right above you, coincidentally, as fate would have it. Yeah. And buddy, you are so you know we're talking about you. You know we're talking about you right now. It is. So he, you know, he was in Grand Junction, which is like what, 3.5 hours or so.
That's a chunk of a drive.
Yeah, it's Denver. It's the bottom corner of Colorado.
It is
the bottom left corner, and Denver's kind of like right in the middle-ish. Yeah,
that's a good 3-4 hours.
Yeah, so he was there, and I was like, shit, like, you know, that's worth it. But what if I drive there and he sucks? You know, and this was like a Thursday night at like 4 a.m. that I decided to do this, and as fate would have it, on Saturday. So no, that would be Friday morning, right? Because it was technically Friday morning. He was gonna be in Denver like 10 minutes from our apartment at that one like convention center, north of town, and he was gonna be there for this like adoption show, and I was like, that's fucking crazy.
Like the next day he would have been there.
Literally, yeah, like 24 hours. Like I woke up at 10 a.m. or whatever the next day, and at 10 a.m. he was. There. On Saturday, he was going to be there. So I go and get him, and he was from a rescue that they go to like Native American reservations and just pick up stray dogs, and they just like they just round up these puppies before they get eaten by coyotes.
Pretty much.
And Coda is just a mystery. We don't know what he is. He's a super mutt, and I used to think that he was part coyote.
I still believe it because in his tail has a furry sort of a flare in the back half of it. In the back half of it, it flares up just like a coyote. And yesterday when we were walking him, because he was really hyper and it was raining all day, I said he is part coyote because when he runs, he jaunts.
So
he like has a little hustle to his walk. His little walk.
Hey.
And when he's walking, his ears are always up.
Yeah.
They're always like the very
sorry.
Boston Terriers that have their ears always up, right?
Down.
His ears are always up when he's just like normal state, and you
Yeah.
can see that in the pictures and the logos and stuff. But when he's running, he has that jaunt to him, and his ears kind of tuck in.
Yeah,
and that's a coyote walk.
He's obviously like a little hunter in some way. I'm gonna move this a little here.
That's fine. Yeah.
He's a weird dog. So I got his DNA tested for his first birthday, which the vet, the puppy doctor,
the puppy man.
They gave me this sort of range of when he could have been born. So this isn't his exact birthday, but they were like, it's either between like June 4th and June 10th, based on his teeth at the time that I saw him. There's a pretty specific way puppy teeth grow in, and once they look a certain way, that's kind of like they're this old, you know? So they gave me a range, and they were like, just pick a birthday for him. So naturally, I chose all sixes.
6, 6, 16.
Yeah, so he's a little demon dog, and so on June 6th last year, in 2017, I was like, you know what? I'm going to get his DNA tested. So I did. I swabbed his little puppy mouth and sent it to a lab. It was like $80. And hey, you got to stop. He's probably making this audio track like just,
he's on another level.
Yeah, he knows. He knows we're broadcasting to the planet. But basically, they came back that he was like 14 different things, and that led me to believe that they really didn't even know that they're like. So Katie, my girlfriend, my longtime partner, she understands genetics, and she's like, the things that they're looking for are so like faint and specific that all that tells them is that breed is in them. It doesn't tell them what their parent was. It doesn't tell. Hey, stop it. You gotta stop. You done? Sit. Coda. Sit, buddy. Down. Good boy. You might have to get kicked out in a second. Little rascal. But basically it came back that he was an Australian cattle dog, which I believe because he has that chest, and he's the same body shape and the ears and stuff.
Yeah.
Part pit bull, like a Staffordshire Terrier, which is a pit bull. Yeah.
That's the aggression. I see it in his eyes.
He doesn't have any aggression, though. Yeah. He's just excited about everything. Yeah. He really is the sweetest dog. He's just super hyper.
The first thing I hear in the morning is Coda's ear trying to knock on my door. He's like, "Are you awake yet?" And tries to open my door. Stop,
buddy.
I'm not gonna play with you.
All right, he's getting kicked out.
Sorry, Coda.
All right, bud.
He's out.
That's it. You're right. It is hot as shit.
Told you.
Yeah. Come on, bud. Come on.
It won't. Just do it on the lowest one, and it won't.
The fan in the bedroom is backwards.
It starts at the highest.
You turn it all the way to do low. This one you turn all the way to do high.
Got it.
Anyway.
So he's got Australian.
He's got Australian Shepherd.
Australian Shepherd.
Mostly. That was the thing they saw the highest propensity of, whatever that means. And then he has Pit Bull, some sort of lab, which would make sense because he's black. So maybe he has black lab in him.
Maybe.
Or something like that.
But he's got long hair, though.
So some sort of shepherd as well, because he's like the softest dog. Like he's fully grown, and he still has puppy fur. It's really weird. So, yeah, he's a really, really odd dog. And then the funniest one, Jack Russell Terrier. He has Jack Russell Terrier in him, apparently.
Allegedly.
Yeah. So and then it was like this mix where they just found all these other markers of dogs, then they're like, oh, we don't even know what to do with this, and so they just put like random unknown shepherd, random unknown lab, whatever, like all this stuff. So it's not exact, but it's cool to know that he's just like a super mutt. But it kind of sucks because I was hoping that it was this case. The service tests to see if they're a wolf or a coyote, and there was no
coyote.
No wolf or coyote.
That's false. Sure, doctors have degrees and whatnot, and they pay
vets,
money.
They go to school, like, the
he
genetic.
has something in him, man.
He's probably
There's
a coyote.
something in there, yeah. Because why else would he be running around some sort of an Indian reservation if...
His brothers were at least eaten by coyotes, for sure.
Good. Survival of the fittest.
No, I mean, like, I talked to the people at the adoption. It was basically this, like, adoption convention.
Right.
And it was, like, this big thing. And I searched around for him for, like, an hour. I thought that I missed him. I was like, fuck. Like, I almost got a different dog. I was really close to getting a different dog. And I was like, you know what?
What color was the other dog?
Gray. Wouldn't have been the same. And it was more fully grown, too. It was, like, 6 months old. Kodo was, like, 8 or 9 weeks, maybe, whenever I got him. So He was just a little chimp.
He's just ready to have diarrhea.
Everywhere. He got sick immediately. I took him to the puppy park, which you're not supposed to do until their immune system is developed. I took him immediately. I had no idea. I'm a really bad dog parent. Yeah. He got coccidia, which is like puppy diarrhea, and he just he shat everywhere.
So hang on. Okay, so you pick up Koda, you find him, you talk to them, they say, hey, this is what we do. He was alone, and we assumed the rest of his little pound, or what are they called?
Litter.
The rest of his litter were taken. So you're like, fuck it. You pay your money, you grab them.
Well, no. There was no other... He had no brothers or sisters with him. Yeah, right. So I don't know what happened to them, if they had been... if they had been picked up before they got to Denver or something, because I believe the rescue is based in New Mexico.
Okay.
I think they were called like the Four Corners Rescue. No, they were called Res Dogs. With a Z, like Res, like the old shitty weed at the bottom of the bowl, like Res.
I was gonna say like the video game, but
there's a video game called Res.
And it's in VR, and we need to play it. That's the one that I was telling you about, the god with the 2 hands.
Oh.
And the bosses go over you, and you physically have to turn to shoot them.
Yes.
It works. That was like the VR game that sold a lot of people.
Okay.
So
Res.
But either way, 2 versions of Res.
They were called Res Dogs.
Great.
I think. I'm pretty sure. And they basically worked in the Four Corners area, and they just go to primarily Native American reservations, because there's just dogs everywhere. Just none of them are spayed or neutered. They're just running around, just free, because why wouldn't they be? It's just like, it makes sense. And there's a ton of wild dogs in America. People don't realize that. There's so people are like, oh, I need to go get this perfect animal from this breeder, and it's like, no, you don't. No, you do not.
So when I picked up my family's dog, Ashbury, she's a little pug.
She is the prototypical pug.
But she's tiny. She's really small, and
but that's pugs are.
But she's not gross. She's not one of those like. She's not like that. Yet,
I think there's a little bit of pug that you're never gonna wash that away. Like,
that's a good point. Yeah, she's just very very small.
I've seen way worse. I've seen ones that are like actually kind of creepy to be around, because they're just like.
My mom and I. So my mom at the time was working in Casper, Wyoming, which is the middle of nowhere, Wyoming.
Was she one of the commuters that went north every day?
No, she stayed in a hotel, like paid for, and we would go visit her on the weekends.
Really?
Right. So,
because I would see people on 25 coming into the city from Wyoming every day. Like, because you can get whatever that town is on the border is an hour away.
Cheyenne is an hour away.
Exactly. Yeah. So people would literally commute into Denver from.
Casper is a 7 or 8 hour drive.
Oh, holy shit!
So that's why she was like, the company. She works for the government, and so they're like, no, just stay. We'll pay for the hotel, whatever.
That's fucking, like, don't you think it'd be easier just to get her an apartment? It'd be cheaper. Literally would.
Maybe, but it's also way easier. You don't have to worry about very much things at the apartment. She also had like a $100 a day thing for food. They expected her to just not cook.
In addition to pay,
she's been working for the government since she was like 20.
What does she do?
So she works for Social Security.
Okay.
She now at the time was like a manager, and they would send her places. First off, it was in Colorado, like different places, and I'm probably butchering this, but she actually used to go on radio and stuff.
I know.
And, like,
I love trying to tell the story of like,
what your parents. My dad
yeah.
he does stuff.
Yeah,
and
like
you don't fully know what your parents do. But at the time when she was in Wyoming, in Casper, and they would give her gas money too. In Wyoming, she would have to go to different offices and train new hires and stuff.
Yeah.
So she was like, she's a pretty up there person. So they were like, just go and don't worry about anything, pretty much.
Yeah.
So my dad and I would go visit her, and one day my mom was like, you know what? Like, I think when we move back, when I come back, which would be in the summertime, when we move into our new house in Castle Rock, we need a dog again, and we're gonna need something to kind of kind of keep us all in the loop with each other and kind of keep us in sync, right?
Yeah, have a baby, save the marriage.
Just have a baby to save the marriage.
Yeah.
No, it's also kind of jokingly, but kind of a real thing. When you leave, your parents need something else to take care of. Coincidentally, at the time, my sister had left for college to Boulder, because at the time she was commuting to Denver. Then when she decided, look, I'm going to graduate in Boulder, I need to move there, my parents were like, what do we do with just one of you? We need something else to take care of, right?
Yeah.
It makes sense, and my parents don't disagree with me. So what we did, my mom kept looking in the papers, because I don't know how, she just had a lot of time on her hands at night, I guess. Looked in the papers and finds a...
Parents don't know what the internet is yet.
Was looking in the classifieds and sure enough found a pug breeder. And so she was like, all right, next time you guys come up, I'll call and we have to wait a couple of weeks or whatever. But sure enough, when we got there, she was like, all right, we need to drive 3 hours that way in the middle of nowhere, Wyoming, to pick up this dog. We had already we had gone to San Francisco a week or two before we were going to pick her up as like our family trip. I think my mom was celebrating the end of her thing or whatever, and it was a 4th of July weekend was when we went. It was amazing. I love San Francisco, and I'd like to go back at some point. But it's expensive as fuck, so I'd need some...
I actually have a great friend of mine who lives in San Francisco, and I've been blowing him off for like...
Let's go.
Literally an entire year.
San Francisco is unlike anything else, man.
If you want to go, let's go. We could get cheap little tickets, go there, probably...
Yeah.
We'll have to sleep on the floor.
Yeah, that's fine, because everything in San Francisco is the expensive thing. Getting there is normal. But you know what I would like to do?
What?
Fly Virgin. I've never flown Virgin, and SFO is like I'm pretty sure they're like head space.
I don't know if they come to Dallas. I don't know. We'd have to look at that.
I'd like to fly it. If it's possible, I'd like to fly it.
Give it a Google.
But anywho, we were on Hayton-Ashbury, and I just told you the story, and my dad was like, hey, why not Ashbury? And we're like, that's a cool name. We like this area. We like what we're doing, and it's on par with the timing and everything. Besides the point.
Yes.
My mom and I get in the car. We drive in the middle of like 3 hours, and we just arrive in this trailer park.
And there's
it's just a trailer park, right? And we don't know who's here, whatever. And we go into it. We call her, and she's like, "Oh, keep going, turn here, turn there." And their door, I want to say, was like I just remember like a green mesh, like what Katie's scrubber is. That was their like screen for their. It was, dude. I was like, where are we right now?
Sounds like the house I grew up in. We had this porch on. I don't even know what to call it. Like, what do you call a porch on the second floor? Does that even make sense?
An upper porch.
Yeah. So we had
balcony.
It was sort of like
porch balcony.
So in Pittsburgh, where I grew up, only saying that for the people that you know where I grew up.
Rep. Yeah.
No. Shout out 412. So there's like a shit ton of hills. It's like it's built in.
I gather that.
Old, like. I don't know anything about geology, but apparently all hills used to be mountains. Like that's sort of just how it works. It's just like at one point
I didn't know that.
They had to come up. They don't just like come up a little bit.
watch your funny bone there.
Yeah, they don't just come up a little bit. They like come up as high as they can when the plates push together, and then eventually they are eroded over time and become hills.
Interesting.
So the Appalachian Mountains, which are very, very small in comparison to like the Rockies or even the Himalayas,
right.
Those used to be larger, apparently, at one point in time in prehistory. Yeah, so the hills that you live in, I bet someone is going to be a geologist or some shit, like, who understands tectonic plates, is just hearing this right now and
like screaming at their
like, yeah.
Fuck yeah!
You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So
I could see it.
But yeah, so anyway, it's just old. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the whole East Coast, the Appalachian area, it's old.
Right.
Very old. That's why it's all green and rolly and hilly and old and smells like old.
But anyways,
so our house was built on this like just big hill, and it like went from the top of like where the street was all the way down at this continual gradual like slope all the way to the end of the backyard, like to a creek basically. So it went from wherever it was, probably a 200-foot drop over, a quarter mile or whatever all the way down to the bottom, and it was just this big fucking hill. So the house had to be kind of slanted, so the porch was like half a story. I don't even know how to describe it, but like it was okay, so the porch was like it was ground level with the street, right?
The porch?
But the hill went down, so the basement was exposed, so you couldn't,
cool.
You know what I mean? So you couldn't reach it. It's just like that, you know what I'm saying? Like that.
Okay,
and so you would enter it, that's the ground level, but it was hanging off the side of the house because of the hill.
It's pretty cool.
It was weird. But anyway, it was like a I'm probably remembering this incorrectly because I was so young, but it was like screened in, and we had this horrible like green carpet that looked like turf on a football field. And so when you're describing the like scratchy part of the door, that's what it reminds me of. Is just like that's just white people, you know. We're just you know, just making weird. That's just like white people in like the 60s, 70s, and 80s just making like weird, just like funky, inconvenient shit. This like, you ever seen like a house that was truly like built in the 70s? It has like the stalactites or stalagmites like hanging from the ceiling. It's just like, why did anyone think that was a good idea?
There's a reason why we don't make houses like that anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just like people, just the suburbs, just like, nah, I don't know.
But anywho, we get there and their screen door has like green scratchy stuff. It's like the back of a sponge, right? That's all. I don't know why or if I'm remembering it incorrectly.
Probably are.
Yeah, but whatever. So we walk in and just the sweetest human beings ever, husband and wife. This is like what they like to do. They both probably worked whatever their jobs, but they like had these two. I swear they were just like little whales in their beds, man. These two disgusting pugs, like.
Oh, I thought you were about to say people.
No, they were not. They smoked a lot, and Ashbury smelled like cigarettes for a good week. Ugh. Even trying to wash her, I almost said, "Let's give her back." Like, this is bad. We got okay. I'm jumping the story. We walk in. Ashbury is one of two left, and you know they kind of pre-named them. Like, what was Coda's name before you named him?
Grizzly.
There you go. Yeah. Ashbury's name.
Hold on, Grizzly.
Grizzly
for a 50-pound black dog. Like, what?
No, that doesn't really work.
This does not work. Anyway,
maybe he just had like that vibe to him.
I doubt it.
But hey, what's your spirit animal?
A bear.
Fucking weird, man.
It's meant to be, dude. Coda was meant to be. There was all kinds of weird.
Just like everything happened all at once.
Yeah, and so much weird shit. But then finish your story because I want to continue something about.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we walk in, just very nice people. This is like what they do. They like to breed, and their two pugs are just popping 2 or 3 out a year, right?
Yeah.
I think we picked
up
Ashbury.
Pregnancies are pretty short.
They're quick. Yeah, they're quick ones. And dogs can recover quickly.
Their gestation period.
Well, that's a pack thing. They need to have just a lot of them, and they're stronger with numbers. So they just evolutionarily keep popping them out. Right?
Wow. Same with. Never mind. That was going to be a joke. Okay. I was about to say something. About to say something about Irish people, but that'd be rude. It's okay. Hey, I'm Irish.
It's fine.
It's
we
fine,
can be
guys.
rude to ourselves,
yeah.
You know. Ashbury was one of 2 left, and her name was Little Girl because she was the smallest they had ever had, and that's why I still think she's small, just because mentally from the get-go I thought of her as tiny.
Well, if you saw like 2 morbidly obese dogs,
and then her, and she was, dude, I swear to God, she would fit like, I held her in one hand. She was so tiny.
How old was she?
She was 2 months, I think, because they gave her shots and everything.
She must have been even smaller because Coda was a potato. I could hold him in my hand.
Yeah.
Just like I would hold him in my hand.
Yeah.
That's how I got him into the car. I picked him up like under his chest, and he fit. I have big ass hands too.
Well, yeah,
but he fit in my hand like that, and I dropped him into the car, and he just looked at me like,
"Where are we?
What the fuck's going on, man?"
But yeah, so we just picked her up. I think I wanted to tell that we went back to a Walmart, and I remember we picked up those flea collars, and it was a pink one, but it smelled funky because she still smelled kind of like cigarettes.
Yeah.
We get back to the hotel room, and we just start scrubbing her with all of these Walmart supplies that we bought. And she cleaned off nicely and all that, and then I think that same day we were staying in the hotel with her, and I remember she slept on my pillow.
Aww.
Yeah, so my parents had one bed, they were sleeping there. I grabbed one pillow for her, one pillow for me, and I laid on the floor next to her, and we just looked at each other all night, and I was like, "Aw, you're so cute." And she literally curled up like this on the pillow by herself and just laid there. Aww. It was awesome. Yeah, that was our first night together.
That brings back memories. Mm-hmm. I wish I remembered Coda being a puppy more.
A little puppy.
Yeah, it's like I wonder if disclaimer, I don't think I'm a real parent because I have a dog, but I do. It's like, I wonder if that's a thing with parents, is you're just so invested. Because I did a good job with him. Not to pat myself on the back.
We have books and shit, man.
He's crazy, but I did my research, and he listened. He came around to it and started. He's an obedient. He's a good dog. He doesn't bite anyone. I really did the best that I could to make him not an asshole, because I hate asshole dogs.
He doesn't even bark at other dogs.
No, he's like, he just wants to play. Like, he straight up wants to play, and he's never been aggressive or anything to anyone. He's protective of me if, like, someone's angrily knocking at the door, but other than that, he's really cool. Forget what I was going with that.
You wish you remembered him more as a
Yeah,
baby.
I was. Oh yeah, so I was so like invested every day in just training him. You know, not training him, but just like doing the necessary steps. I definitely could have been better about the actual like training shit. But like, I wonder if being like so invested in that and like just being like in the moment leads you to not really check off those memories in your head. You know what I mean? Like, you're kind of only focused on those things happening, so you're not really like recording it.
I can
You know
see
what I'm
that.
saying?
It's
Like,
a laundry list of like.
well, no, it's more so I find it happening all the time. Like, I have to like consciously be like, I'm gonna remember this. Because I've gotten really good at like just not thinking about other things and only thinking about what's in front of me, which took me forever to. I was always like off somewhere else, you know, dazing through my tasks and stuff, and now I like to be right here, not thinking about anything else. So, but now the caveat to that is I don't remember things as well, because I'm kind of just like only focused on that thing in front of me.
Right.
When before I'd be like, that's dope, like mental screenshot, you know, whatever. So with Coda as a puppy, like, I really don't remember like what we did, you know. I don't remember, like, I just remember him shitting everywhere and having to go outside onto the streets of downtown Denver, walking him like 25 times a day.
Which is funny that Coda is now the logo of Lithograph.
Because that's how you and I met.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure he was having diarrhea that night, as always. He was, I don't know what was up. It took me a while to find a good food for him. That was also it.
Yeah, that's pretty important.
Well, the first food that I got was recommended to me by his foster parents, and they were like, you know, they're just like normal people, and they were like, yeah, just get him, not kicks. That's a like human food.
Puppy, like there's a kibble that's puppy brand.
Yeah, but it was
based.
some just like, you know, not Walmart, but like basic brand.
Generic.
And whenever I got it, it's just all preservatives and like shitty grains and stuff. And I was like, how could this, you know, he's a dog. Like, if some people go real crazy and they feed their dogs raw meat because they're like, they're wolves. And it's like, okay, yeah, it's a poodle, but I'm sure it loves the raw meat. So I get...
Ashbury is not a wolf.
No.
She's just a deformed thing that
humans thought was cool.
That
so
the Chinese wanted to...
Oh yeah, exactly.
You know,
they
just
wanted
smush their nose in.
They wanted their nose to be as close to their asshole as possible. So yeah, like, I understand that sentiment of like feeding it like it's a natural diet. Like,
right.
You know, just like the people that are like, my ancestors were cavemen, so I'm gonna be a caveman.
Right.
But anyway, I saw the food and I was like, there's no way this can be good for him. Like, this is all bullshit. Why would you introduce all of this stuff to your dog
at such a young age? Too,
seriously?
yeah.
And people are like, well, it's expensive. Guess what else is expensive? Medical bills. And so if you can put, this goes for humans too, if you can put good fuel and good nutrients and ingredients in yourself or in your dog and avoid medical expenses, like, then that's a good investment.
Right.
Like 100%. I mean, we could go on and on about that. But anyway, I think
probably will at one point.
I think his food and the combination that he got, basically puppy diarrhea, coccidia, it's a little bug, that just screwed him up from the beginning. So he was always just nasty shits all the time. And then when he'd have good ones, we would celebrate. So, anyway, he's outside for his 25th time that day, having puppy diarrhea, and I lived on the 3rd floor of this apartment building, so we would just be running, like, through the elevator or down the stairs, like, sometimes I'd carry him, he'd be, like, peeing as we ran out the door, like, it was a nightmare, but I always made sure I got him outside. Like, he had very, very few accidents. The times that he did have accidents, he had to poop his pants. He couldn't even make it. He was just like, oh, and just came out. He never had a solid poop inside.
Whoa.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Never.
Yeah.
It was always like, if it happened, it was like,
I need to just
it
get
was
this
just,
out
yeah,
now,
it was just,
yeah.
it was because he was sick, and that was, you know, I should have done better there. And
Right.
it took us a while to figure out a food for him too. Anyway, I run outside with him, and he has this horrible poop.
No, I remember. I saw you before he was pooping.
Oh,
and
yeah.
we were talking. You were like, "Hey, do you live up here in this apartment? I've seen you a couple times, like crossing each other." Because we had, like, I remember seeing. Because I mean, you're pretty big man.
Well, spoiler alert.
Spoiler
we
alert.
were gonna do a thing.
We were gonna try, but it's gonna
happen.
Yeah. Wyatt is tall. You're a tall boy.
I'm 6'10".
There you go.
Potentially.
So it's pretty hard to miss somebody that's a foot taller than you, because I'm 5'11" and change.
Yes.
Someone that's a foot taller than you, you're like, whoa, it happens, right?
Yes.
So we had seen each other before, and you were the one that said, hey, because I was with Cameron, Sam, and Jake. It was all four of us.
Yeah, I became very talkative with Coda. I would just talk to like every person.
Well, because everyone's like, "Oh, can I touch your dog?"
Yeah, so I would just start going, "Hey, have you seen my dog?" Like I would just start showing him off to people. I was just so proud of that. I kept him alive for that long.
So I was like, "Hey, you were like, hey, do you live here?" Like, I live in this, and I was like, "Yeah, sure enough." And as soon as we had determined that yes, we both lived in the same apartment building, Coda just pees out of his butthole.
Yeah, it was
and
bad.
you're like, well, my dog has diarrhea, and sure enough, I just remember, I don't know why it's so vivid, but you had the bag and you just like scooped it up. You just wiped it off of the sidewalk, and I was like, at this point, why? In my mind, I was like, why wipe it off?
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, like, you need to. It's something, and so you just like.
Yeah, it
just tried your hardest to get the diarrhea in the bag.
My social contract was kicking in. It was just like, I gotta just try my best.
Just wipe it off of the sidewalk at this point.
Yeah, it was horrific. But that happened so many times, and one time it was so bad that I reached down, and as I reached down, I guess like I was trying to like get a big wide thing, like I was trying to stretch my hand out and cover as much and try to like group it all up and grab it. The bag ripped.
You were scraping.
My hand didn't touch it. The bag just sort of folded in half, or like, opened up halfways and just fell and covered the whole poop on the sidewalk.
Ugh.
And I just left it there. It's just like right on the... If anyone's familiar with Denver, the 16th Street Mall is just... It's like a tourist trap, but our building was like right by it.
Literally, we were on 17th.
Yeah, so we were right a block away. And my naivete when moving there, I was like, oh, the 16th Street Mall is always populated. People must want to live there. Wrong.
No, wrong. No. Incorrect.
Totally wrong. The places that are actually affordable and fun to live are not close.
Like blocks away that you can bike in.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I guess like Capitol Hill and stuff like that. That'd be a sweet spot. But there was a point of me living there because I met you. I met a lot of cool people there, actually. And I think living in a big city like that's a good experience. If you can do it, you should try. People are like, nah, I'm a country boy. I'm always going to be out here. Try it. You'd be surprised how much you develop, because I lived in all of those environments, everywhere. I guess rural, kind of. But, like each, different...
Cookie cutter places and stuff.
Yeah, all the different, like, categories of living. I've, lived in all those places, and they're all awesome for equal reasons, And so it's like... Oh, but... Back to the 16th Street thing.
But anywho,
back to that. I had so many strange conversations with people walking like up and down there with Coda. He and I, like, not just him, we almost got killed by a bus one of the days because those buses they don't give a shit. They just go.
They're on a schedule, man.
As they should be. And they don't make they make noise, but it's like the ambient noise, ambiance of the city. Buses are just a given,
right?
So you don't really notice like exactly when a bus is coming. You do, but you don't. It's like kind of a given. If you're walking down the street and you hear a bus to your right, you're just kind of like, oh, there's a bus coming. That's it.
Right.
There's nothing else. There's no other thought to it.
Not that it's a foot away from you.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, it's a bus.
Yeah.
Don't step into the street.
Right.
And I don't know what happened, but we just like ended up in front of this bus, and it was just like this, like it. Oh my god, dude! Ooh, yeah.
Must have been a good time.
It was awesome. It was great. Would do it all the time. But yeah, people would ask me all the time if I cut his ears. I was like, what you think? What the fuck kind of caveman do you think I am?
Because they're so pointy. Or?
Yeah, because that's a thing. So by the way, if you're a dog owner and you clip your dog's tail or cut its ears, fuck you. Literally fuck you. Like, why? Oh, you need it to look cool? Good.
Yeah, no.
I hope it worked.
Just get a pug. That way,
it's already genetics have already tailored it
for you. Like, you want its tail curled up? Sure, it'll do that naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, what time do you need to leave? What time is it?
12? We still got a half hour.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
But
anyway. Dude, we've been talking for a half hour.
Time flies,
That doesn't even make sense.
What?
See what I'm saying? We could do that 6 more times, and that would be 3 hours. That's not that much time at all.
It's not.
It really isn't. Like when people are like, how long do you want your podcast to be? Like 45 minutes? You can't even get off the ground in 45 minutes. Like, we've talked about nothing.
It's a good point.
We've talked about nothing.
Well, we've told Coda a little bit.
Coda is important because Coda is the logo of Lithograph. LITHOGRAF.com, by the way, if you need any video production needs. For the time being, we will be rolling out different services, different products as time goes on.
That's a good point.
But right now, advertisement, shameless plug, LITHOGRAF.com.
The potential, this is like a starting point, of course, but eventually I think the major goal of what this podcast was going to be is at the beginning of each, instead of having like your generic ad, which, I mean, respect, you need to make your money somehow from like Squarespace and shit like that.
Which I'm not opposed to.
Not at all, right?
Yeah, but you need people to pay attention to you.
Exactly.
You need at least one person to pay attention to you first.
But it'd be really fucking cool to just the ads, quote unquote, would be people that we've actually met and actually shot an ad for. And say, this is why we shot the ad, this is why we think they're cool, etc., etc. Yeah. And that would be kind of, going back and forth, having a yoga instructor that we shoot an ad for on the podcast, talking about why they think, just kind of like really expanding on why we like them. Yeah. No, 100%. And I think, the idea is, and this is us just sort of thinking out loud as well, is just for this to become some big ball of everything we like, you know what I mean? Just like just everything.
No, really, because it's. I think life is too short, at least for me, and I probably just have some sort of ridiculous advanced form of ADHD, which, by the way, doesn't exist. Did you know that?
You were telling me that one time.
Yeah, we'll talk. We'll continue that in a second.
Yes,
but you got to do as much cool shit as you can in your life, and I think this is a great way for us to do that, because eventually Lithograph could be the umbrella company, the video production company, the video game production company, the book publisher, the merchandise shirt publisher, the food purveyor. I would love to have like awesome, just badass like just
or
vegan
you can
foods.
The cure to puppy diarrhea.
Yeah, the cure to puppy diarrhea is there is none.
Just survive.
Fucked.
Just deal with it.
I guess antibiotics. I don't really know. But anyway, what did I just bring up?
ADHD doesn't exist.
ADHD doesn't exist, by the way. I'd like to point that out to people that are like, my son has ADHD. No, they don't. They're a human, and they're overstimulated, and they probably eat too much sugar. So they're distracted.
That's a good.
They have a big bowl of fucking Lucky Charms in the morning, and they're fueled on bullshit all day. And they go to their school that they don't give a shit about to be talked down to by people that don't give a shit about them. And they freak out. They're tapping their pencil. They have all this nervous energy. I hate to be so judgmental, but I think that people that suffer from ADHD and they say that, and they what's the word? They not
not suffer, but
no, not suffer. They
have to endure it.
Jesus Christ!
What are you trying to say?
I can't believe I'm having this block. They relate to it. They identify with that. That's part of their identity now. I have ADHD. They say I. That's the thing. They believe it, and they believe it, and then and it's like then they go to the doctor. They get the Vyvanse or whatever. And that's their cure. Now they can focus on things.
What does Vyvanse do?
Vyvanse is like Ritalin or Adderall and stuff like that.
To make you focus.
Yeah. But, which, by the way, it certainly does. First of all, Adderall's meth. I would like to also point that out.
I always thought Adderall was just like cocaine, like a little piece of cocaine.
Well, no, you know that they're both amphetamines. Right. Yeah. Like literally, chemically, they are both amphetamines. There's a doctor, I forget what his name is. He's this cool, he's like a drug doctor, and he talks about how basically like a third of the child population is on meth. It's an exaggeration, but it's an interesting thought. If you think about the fact that we're a huge medicating society, you know? So
it's sad.
But I saw these kids in high school and college. They're like, oh, I need this. I can't focus, and it's like, you're just believing what your dad told you.
You can't focus on it because I've done Adderall to keep me awake. Yeah, I've snorted lines of Adderall. No, I've taken Adderall because I've been like, I need to stay the fuck up and really just hone in. And it's an addiction, man, because sometimes you're like, I understand how focused I am. I know how focused I am on it, and I need that right now.
Yeah, exactly. And then
so when you're on that for a whole week, and then you're off of it for a whole week, you're like, well, fuck, this just I don't need. I know that what Adderall can and will do for me. Let me just go back on it.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
And that's just mentally.
And
that's not even
say,
chemically.
Yeah,
you know,
that's not to say that like drugs work. Like, you know what I mean? Like pharmaceuticals, they work. Like, you know, not all of them, and some
they
of them
sell for a reason.
Yeah, and some of them have horrific side effects,
right.
And you know it's not perfect. But I think this whole push about ADHD and like, oh, my child can't focus. Like, how about you do something with your kid in the morning, or like get them involved? Like, I don't know. I think the school system is set up in this really stupid way where we expect kids to be in at 7 a.m. or whatever. Like, so you're gonna bust them in as early as possible and get them out as early as possible, when perhaps maybe they should have sports practice in the morning. You know what I mean? Like that. What if that was a change that they made? What if school lunches weren't fucking cardboard and cheese?
Yeah.
You know, with like tomato sauce to dip it in. Like that's why these kids have these things. Is the sort of the environment and the schedule and the food and just like what's expected of them. What's expected to sit still. You're 12. You don't want to sit still.
Right.
You know? So that shit drives me crazy. Like every time I hear that, like, I have ADHD. No, you're a human. You have human disorder. It's part of the thing. You want to run around. You want to eat shit and do pull-ups. Like, I don't know. It just it drives me crazy. So that's why Coda, when it's raining and we can't go run around with him outside because it's muddy and stuff like that,
he starts freaking out.
He freaks out because he has certain requirements. And like, I bet if I fed him gummy worms and Fruit Loops all the time, he'd be even worse.
That's a good point.
And never let him outside. Like, that's how biology is. It has certain effects when you put shit in it, and certain effects when you don't, fill the requirements of what the body and mind need.
Right. That's why you gotta let your kids play video games, Let them fill tasks out.
I think video games were good for me growing up. They certainly were an escape from a lot of stuff. Like, the deepest I got into video games was, not to be super personal, but when my parents got divorced, I just hid from it. I was like, I don't want anything to do with this. I didn't understand it, and it was scary, and I just dove into Halo and Call of Duty, and it was just like, I just put the blinders on to the world.
It's a good point.
And but that stuff aside, I think in terms of just like learning and being entertained and having a sort of vivid imagination, certainly like huge influence.
Right. Honestly, because I try and explain it to people, and I've explained it to you a little bit. When I was in 8th grade, I was in between pretty much 3 schools, because in 8th grade, when you go from one school, one semester, to another semester, and then back for freshman year, those are completely different kids. So, like, it's a completely different school. I mean, kids, like 11, 12, 13-year-olds change every week. So every 6 months, there was a completely, like, I had completely a new set of friends, right? Is it time for you to leave?
No, you are...
Oh, I'm hitting it. Sorry.
It
I'll stop hitting
it. Oh my God.
So so 6 months I was here. I had friends, right? And I say that in quotes because I'm acquaintanced with them.
Yeah.
Then I go to a new school and I'm acquaintanced with these kids, and then I go back and I have to make completely new acquaintances because we're all different people. Mm-hmm. But during that whole time, Xbox Live was a thing, and in that year and a half or whatever it was, I had the exact same group of kids that I would play Halo or Call of Duty with every single night for at least an hour.
Yeah.
And those were the consistent friends, even though I still to this day, I think Facebook was brand new at the time, so I added them, but it was like them playing baseball or whatever, so I still don't really know what they look like. Seriously.
It's true.
But you get used to a voice, and you get used to just the way that somebody plays a game is personality enough. If somebody's killing you all the time in Halo, like, okay, they're assholes, but like they're trying to be fun, and they start laughing, it's just like a funny thing. Or they could be a school shooter. You never know.
Too soon. Too soon.
That is way too soon. I'm
way
sorry.
Too soon.
Forgive me.
No, it's fine. I think that...
Good thing Katie's not here, because she's very into the... Well, a lot of people are really into... I try and stay away from news and politics as much as possible. I'm not...
I think it's important, because it's like, well, Trump... let's just get that out of the way.
Okay.
He's not important. Okay. news outlets, if anyone, no one's listening to this, but if anyone's listening to this that has any control over any news outlet,
doubt it.
Stop talking about him.
Yeah.
Stop it. Like, if everybody just agreed to ignore that idiot and just say, what? Oh, it's just this dog and pony show, and it's like when you put a cup on top of a spider, just move it. You just go whoop, and you can't see it anymore. It's still there.
Move it.
Just move it.
Exactly.
Get it out of the way and just leave it. It can't escape. It's not strong enough to get out of that cup. Leave it over there.
That's a good point. It just adds fuel to the fire when you just say it.
And so they're just
he just likes his name on TV.
They're just like, oh my God, Trump is golfing 3 days after Parkland school shooting. Yeah, what do you expect? He's a piece of shit.
He doesn't know anything.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
He can't do anything. He's so incompetent and silly. Just stop it. Just stop reporting on him.
That's a good point.
What you should focus on is what the best idea is moving forward from something like that.
Or focus on somebody that gets reported multiple times by their peers of saying they had a knife or a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the kid was a psycho,
he
right?
was.
Yeah, and I don't know.
For reference, we're talking about the most recent now, which was...
It was Stoneman or something like that. Marshall,
which shows you how up to date we are with news. But
it's been I think it's called like Parkland might be the city, and then there's like Stoneman Douglas or something is the school. Yeah,
Gotcha.
There's a bunch of I don't know. I try to stay away from it because I don't like when they popularize the shooter.
Exactly.
This one's been big on that. There's been a couple where I've been like quote unquote proud of the media for not focusing on the shooter, but this one they're like, he was a psycho, Nicholas Cruz. Look at his mugshot. Look at those crazy fucking eyes. And it's real, like, centric on him.
That's
unfortunately.
Also just lawyers making him say, like, "Hey, insanity. You won't die. You'll just go to jail."
He got arrested. They didn't shoot him.
I don't know, but so the reason why I say, so in the Aurora, the cinema shooting,
so that happened. For those of you that don't know, Aurora, they always call it Aurora because it is technically a separate city. But it's just like a big suburb of Denver. So it's right there.
Yeah. I've seen, and I almost watched a movie there a couple years ago, but just timing didn't work out. We didn't end up watching a movie there. But I know of that movie theater.
Yeah.
Basically, whatever his name was, Anderson Cooper showed up the day of the shooting, or that same morning or whatever, and he kept saying, we're not going to say him. We're just going to call him the shooter. We're never going to say his name on this show, which was
that went well.
Anderson Cooper 360. Mm-hmm. I still don't know his name because I would only follow Anderson.
I think once in the trial, he became
this
impossible to ignore because he had the orange hair and there was all those pictures of him like dozing off during the trial.
And that's the thing is because the lawyers, because that's one. I understand why it happens, but I still don't understand why everyone is entitled to a lawyer. That's just law. I get it, but lawyers are so fucking smart, and at the end of the day, they don't care who their client is. They'll try and win. Because could you imagine being?
That's why they made that movie with Keanu Reeves where he works for the devil. That Al Pacino. It's called The Devil's Advocate, The Devil's Advocate, and basically this like hotshot lawyer works for the devil, like literally the devil. And so yeah, that's exactly what you're talking
about.
Because
think about how fucking popular and famous and just loaded would you be if you were able to bail out the Aurora school shooter, just like Robert Kardashian bailed out fucking O.J. Simpson.
Robert Kardashian died of cancer.
I understand that, but how are his kids and his family? How are his kids and family doing now? They're popular because of him. Like the name Kardashian is famous because of him, and then Kim Kardashian did her thing too.
Yeah.
Right? But you know what I mean? Like there was like
I guess her like sex tape thing was a big deal because oh my god, that's O.J. Simpson's lawyer's daughter.
Right, and at the time Paris Hilton's friend that showed up occasionally in that one show.
Yeah, it's a weird thing that those people that are famous just for the sake of being famous.
But you gather what I'm saying is like a lawyer that takes on a case like that would go down in history as like a famous whatever, right? So they have their ways.
Infamous lawyer.
Infamous.
They have their reasons, and it's a potentially big paycheck, and they probably just want the challenge too, as well. It's a weird thing, and someone has to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's why they're so smart. They're smart enough to say, or even smuggle in drugs to make him so sleepy that day because he was on. Everyone's like, he's on something. What is he on? Oh my god, is he crazy? And that kind of sparks the flame of, okay, yeah, he's pleading for insanity, and these are these things. So,
yeah,
It's a whole... The justice system is one of those fucked up, but tried and true things that you can't really change. Who knows?
Yeah, well, the thing about that like really scares me is when you hear stories about like judges that are intentionally like giving kids not adults. It's like not like people that have 5 strikes on their record that are selling crack like over and over and over again, and like they themselves are making money and providing for their family, so you could say that's an argument, a defense for them, but they're becoming a detriment to their community because they're bringing
drugs,
crack,
right.
into, it's something that you don't need into that community. It's not going to help anybody. I'm all for drugs. Like, you should be able to do what you want, but bringing massive amounts of a drug into a community probably isn't going to do anyone any good. So it's not the people like that are actually harming like dozens, if not hundreds of people,
right, through
the ripples of their actions. These are kids that like sold a gram of weed to their buddy and got caught because kids are stupid and that's just how it works. And the judge gives them 2 years in jail because he's being paid by that jail to carry out that sentence. And it's like, when you hear about shit like that, what do you do? How powerful do you feel as a person? Not at all, because
right.
You're in the hands of this machine that exists whether or not you exist, and it's going to do what it wants whether or not you're on board with it. And it's scary. Mm-hmm. It's really scary. Mm-hmm. So lawyers, the legal system, like all that stuff is just like, it's just
stay away from it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it doesn't, to me, it's I don't know.
You just don't know things.
You know what would suck to be in? A custody battle. That would be really shitty.
Yeah. Just especially as the child, man. Your parents fighting over you.
Yeah, I was very, very fortunate in that regard for my parents both to be like, we're just going to work it out. Whatever, we're going to go with the flow. It doesn't matter if just as long as the kids spend time with both parents every week and it is as equal as we can make it, then that's all that matters.
Nice.
There was I'm pretty sure there were no parameters set as to how many times it had to happen. And so that was fortunate. But I know many kids growing up that I was friends with who were like, I'm at my dad's this weekend. And you're like, fuck.
That was a few friends of mine too.
Yeah. But it's always the dad. It's always the dad that's like this distant.
No, I had a friend growing up or in high school that lived with his dad.
Oh, really?
Would go to his mom's on the weekend.
Interesting.
Yeah, but has decided as an adult now to stay with it, to like now lives with his mom and does his own thing.
Okay.
Instead of living with his dad.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird how...
Like when he turned 18 or whatever it was. Oh, time to go.
We'll see. We'll give it a few more minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's always the... I don't know. Another thing that I hope I'm never involved with.
Yeah. Luckily, Coda is legally yours.
Yeah.
Just in case.
So
just,
Katie was like...
Knock on cardboard.
If we get another dog, I want it to be my dog. And I was like, so if we break up, you want to separate the 2 dogs from each other? And she was like, yes. And I was like, that's a terrible idea. It's like, first of all, if we broke up and you were still on your way to being a doctor, you're not going to have time to take care of a dog. So you might as well give the dog to me.
That's a good point.
Yeah. And I'm super selfish anyway, where I would never like, even with LITHOGRAF, this is something that I'm going to get past, but it's mine. Mine. Only my name's on it, because it's like, I guess, I don't know, I'm a control freak when it comes to that shit, so I wouldn't want one of my children to be one, you know what I mean? Like those things of like ownership, it's mine. I want it to be mine.
Your thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll get over it eventually. I'll start sharing things with people, but I don't want 2 names on Coda's ownership papers.
You don't need to have 2 names on.
But you know what I mean, like
as much as I hate to say
that stuff gets squirrely.
Right. I'm gonna sound like a dick, but dogs don't really need 2 owners legally. They just give them one. The person that goes and picks them up, sure, that's fine.
Yeah.
He's a child. I understand that, and he's your baby.
He's smarter than some kids that I've met.
I've
met some dumbass kids before.
Not babies, like 12-year-olds and
oh yeah, Coda's smarter than
a good boy.
Some of them. There's some smart kids though. Like there's that 4-year-old that paints like Ninja Turtles perfectly. I saw it on the internet like 5 years ago. Probably still 4 years old.
Or the countless amount of child prodigies that can play piano.
Yeah, like, see,
Props.
that's, okay. That's so crazy to me. The broad spectrum of human, like, abilities like that. Like how some people could struggle for their entire life to play a guitar. They just are never going to get it. And that's okay. Some people aren't meant to get it, you know? It's like they're not, their biology, their focus, the way they sort of like feel things, because playing music is more feel than it is talent.
It's emotion.
It's more like some people just pick up a guitar or they put their fingers on a piano and they just get it.
Yeah.
You know? And that, but then there's a certain point where you can push through that. You can work hard to get it, you know? Mm-hmm. But most people just aren't ever going to do those things,
and
you know?
Musically, the easiest, quote unquote, thing to kind of, or the one thing that is trainable and you can push through is vocal. You can with
they say everybody can sing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
With a good, not even a good teacher, with a teacher, like somebody that knows form and like muscles and shit, you can become a good singer. Anyone can become a good singer.
There's a hilarious thing on, my friends and I used to imitate it all the time on Tosh.0. I forget if it was one of his, like, what's that bit, the Web Redemption or whatever?
I've never seen Tosh.0.
You've never seen Tosh.0? Mm-mm. It's, you know what he does. He reviews clips from the internet.
Right. I remember I saw, like, there's one that a friend of mine was playing. It was like a duck, like a goose running around. It was a white goose running
it's just shit like that.
Just dumb stuff.
It's a funny show.
And he stands, right?
Yeah, and he talks to the crowd on the green screen. Yeah. So one of the things was this vocal coach that has this hilarious video. I wish I could find it, but he's basically the worst vocal coach ever. But he actually is a talented singer. Just the way on camera he's teaching people is funny, and that's why Tosh was riffing on it. And even that guy, like, you could get this, he's probably not an idiot, he's probably a nice guy, but you could get this idiot to come in and go like, ha, like, get you to do these things and to, you know, vibrate your throat in a certain way and do these stretches and yell really high and really low and whatever. And eventually your voice figures it out. You know, there's a way you can do it.
Exactly.
And it's weird. It's the same thing with exercise. That persistence and, you know, consistency.
Vocal cords are muscles.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like,
I think why.
It's the same with your brain too. It's so weird. It's just like the more you do it, you just like develop calluses and muscle memory internally and externally.
Calluses?
Yeah.
Oh, like on your fingers.
No, but even like calluses in your vocal cords. Like not physically, you're not physically developing calluses, but like
the pain of singing for too long eventually just extends. Because you know when you're singing for a long time, there's a strain. Yeah. You'll push through it because you're exercising it, and eventually you won't have that strain. Yeah. People like Mariah Carey can just not breathe for like an hour and a half and just go just fucking belch out at the O2 Arena for like all night, you know.
Bruce Springsteen out there playing 4-hour shows.
Good man.
How the fuck does he do that?
He's been doing it for a long time, man. Bruce Springsteen has been hustling since before we were born.
I heard some other musician say this. I don't remember who it was or what other context. But they said that like everybody in the E Street Band hates Bruce Springsteen's wife or something.
I could see that though, just like a
Isn't she the like tambourine? She's the token tambourine lady or something? Or does she play guitar? I don't know. I shouldn't say any of these things without knowing it.
When there's marriage and things like that, I assume, and bassists too probably have this problem. If you're one of those like not really like a tambourine, don't get me wrong, respect if you play tambourine, man. Like, just fucking respect.
Just covering all bases, please. I'm not trying to offend tambourine people.
Yeah. If you play tambourine or bass, which is meant to be like a little bit back here, like nothing too up front, and you are up front and like really just hammering away at the tambourine, your band will get annoyed with you.
Well, I don't think that's the issue. I think it affects Bruce Springsteen. It's not necessarily her role in the band, because that's a good point. They have like 19 members or something like that. I don't know.
There's going to be problems with a 19-member band.
Well, no, but it's not.
There's a lot of personalities.
It's not like any of them are going to object if they're like, we need someone to play the harp, and they're like, whatever. We already have a banjo. Like, why don't we add this other weird stringed instrument? So I don't think that's the objection. I think it's the like her managerial competency and how basically just the yin and the yang of the universe females are better like micromanagers, you know what I mean, and better like organizers of things. So you get a powerful, badass woman. She's like, I'm married to fucking Bruce Springsteen. I'm just gonna tell these people what to do. That's a weird, you know, little thing you get into.
But exactly what I'm trying to say is, if she's the tambourine player trying to tell the drummer what to do,
yeah,
he's gonna get pissed off because he's like, "Fuck you! I make more noise in this band than you do. What do you do? You just fucking shake your wrist.
It's a noise
I'm over
competition.
here using all 4 of my limbs, and you're shaking one wrist and singing into a mic, maybe. You know?
Yeah.
I would be pissed because I'm like, I am physically doing more work than you.
We're probably gonna look it up later and find out that like
she's actually
Alicia Springsteen or whatever her name is. I almost called her Spring Street.
Spring Street.
Yeah, whatever. I forget what her name is. We're gonna find out that she's like a 19-time Grammy-winning producer and like is responsible for their longevity as a band.
The thing is, we're gonna say things on this podcast that we assume are correct.
It's just
they're not.
Listen,
just listen.
Listen
right?
From the beginning, like. I'm wrong. Everything I say is wrong.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a solid ending. Just so you know, what we've just said was incorrect.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
just talking out of our ass at some point.
Yeah. It's fine.
But eat good food.
Eat good food. Stop. Just. I had a whole thing.
I got enriched sourdough bread today, and I want to see what Katie's reaction is to.
Why?
Because it's funny. I like seeing. I don't know what it is about my personality. It's just because I'm a Sagittarius. You know, I've been looking more. Dude, I swear. Listen. I swear. I wasn't really into them. Like as a kid, I was like, that's all bullshit. That's all fake. Astrology signs and shit like that. They're, in my opinion, like every time there's some sort of a. Hey, this was your thing yesterday. I never read today's because I feel like it will affect my day, and I'll be like, oh yes. But I do read yesterday's or last week's. They're accurate, man.
Weird.
Maybe it's not, and sure they're pretty generalized or whatever you want to call it. But I'll go back and read a Leo, and I'm like, why the fuck would I do that day? Like
a friend of mine in
sense.
Pittsburgh. By the way, he's a cool ass dude. Would love to have him on the podcast. I think he got involved in like Bitcoin mining and shit, so maybe not.
Get
anymore.
him on. Get him on. Well, he's gonna be poor tomorrow. So.
Well, yeah, I don't want to talk to him about how much of a fraud that whole thing was. I don't know. Anyway, he had this book on astrology, and so you could go to your month and check out the month, or your sign basically, and check out that. And then you could even go to the specific day
that you were born
and the year, and you would combine all 3 of those pieces of information, and it was basically like a map of who you are. I found it to be like 85-90% accurate.
And that's the thing with astrology is they need to at some point just add things that not necessarily. And sure, you're not going to be 100% of your thing. Yeah. I'd love to check out that book though.
I don't know what it was called or like, but it was really eerie. Like.
When I knew you.
Yeah, well, not necessarily. And people project into things. They see what they want to see in those things. Like, you know, I got this free pass at a spa when I was going to California, going to school in California. I got this like free thing. A friend of mine, actually my friend who lives in San Francisco.
Oh, cool.
He worked at this awesome, like badass, like bougie spa. And like I signed up there to be a member or something. And I got this like free thing, and it was this ionizing foot bath. Yeah, because that's gonna fucking work. Those are a sham, by the way. If you get they draw out toxins through your feet, and the water turns fucking black. If all that stuff came out of your body, you would have been dead long before that. That's so it's horseshit. But anyway, the woman does it, and she's like, "Oh, let me look into the water and see what came out of you," and I'm like. What? And she does it after
reads your foot leaves.
Yeah, basically.
Gross.
And she's like, oh, there's a lot of like toxins coming out of your liver. Have you been having like anxiety lately? And I'm like, yeah. Like she starts telling me.
Everyone has anxiety at some point.
No, exactly. But she starts talking all these things about what the color and the consistency of the water means of my body and my current mental and physical state. And I'm like. Oh my god, yeah. And she's like, have you been eating a lot of red meat? And at the time I was like, yeah. And she's like, oh my god, like you need to cut that out of your diet. And I was like, like you see what you want to see in those things. But one of the best things that might also totally be completely bullshit was actually, interestingly enough, who lived across the hall from me in Denver, one of their friends, they were talking about astrology. She was like a woke, like Kundalini yoga, like vegan person. So we got along because I was like, holy shit, I've never met another vegan. By the way, anyone listening, we're vegan.
Hey,
we have to tell. We waited. We gave you a courtesy wait. We waited a long time before we.
That's
told
a good
you.
point.
We didn't just start up. I'm vegan. Okay.
Yeah, that's like the meme is like, oh, if you meet a vegan, the first thing they'll tell you is that they're vegan, right? But like
people. You know what's hilarious though is, at least in my experience, been vegan for exactly 2 years as of like last week. Mm-hmm. Happy anniversary, by the way.
It's been a year for me.
Yeah, because you were December or January?
Beginning of February.
Really?
I remember it was like, because Allison and I, for Valentine's Day, went to the Burrowing Owl, which is a vegan restaurant. So
nice.
It was like a week or so before that.
That's awesome.
When I was like, I just want nachos, and so we went and just chowed down on Sloppy Joe nachos at the Burrowing Owl, this vegan restaurant.
Nice.
So anyway, yeah, a little over a year. Continue, sorry.
Good, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So we were around the same time. That's pretty badass.
Something like that, yeah.
Well, I was a year before.
Right.
Same anniversary-ish, kind of February. That's cool. So she was always like, you know, we'd talk about like Kundalini yoga, which is this form of yoga that if you do it with enough discipline every day and do it as hard as you can and as like dedicated and like into it as you can,
really give it your all.
You'll like start tripping balls. You'll think that you're just like, I'm in a different place. Like you'll just start feeling these different sensations. Cool. Yeah, it's like an extra sensory meditation is really the point of it. It's not, they call it yoga, but it's really not. It's more about like seated postures and these like really subtle stretches and like these chants and pushing, you know, it's like it's all about like, it's all stationary. It's not like a flowing yoga kind of thing. So we'd always talk about shit like that when we'd hang out. And she one time was like, and this is what I was saying is probably complete bullshit, but it sounds really good when someone sums it up like that. It's like those Instagram pictures that are like, you really think that, and then you're like, whoa, and you just ignore all of the research that's out there showing that that's not the case. But she one time was like, you think the moon controls all of the water on the planet, and it has this massive, it can change the tides and it can cause tsunamis or whatever, which, by the way, it can.
Right.
But she was basically saying how powerful the moon is in its relation to water on the earth. And she's like, the moon controls all of the water on the earth, and your body is 70% water, and you're going to pretend like it doesn't have any effect on you.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh damn.
God damn, you're so right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And she was hot too, so she could get away with it, you know? You just like,
mesmerized
please
by,
keep talking to me.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I understand I think the metaphors are accurate. The metaphors are there and all that, but the science is not necessarily.
But I don't think okay, that's the thing that kind of bugs me, is that I think that science is extremely limited right now. Mm-hmm. And I know that people, someone just had a heart attack hearing that right now.
This entire podcast, people are like,
someone just went, they just got all red and they collapsed at their desk hearing that science is limited. No, it's incredible how far we've come, but we've been, to quote someone on another podcast, we've been making these advances on vending machine consciousness. Mm-hmm. Like, we don't even know what the scope of innovation is out there. Like, we are a couple thousand years from now, if humans survive that long, we're going to call right now the like infancy of science, where we can talk to each other across the world, fly on planes, and we have cars that are powered by the sun that drive themselves, like crazy shit. And that's amazing. And medical technology that saves millions of lives every year. It's unbelievable, and I'm very grateful for it, and I'm happy to be in this really crazy, like turbulent, ever-changing time, because it's exciting. It's going to be kind of lame when we figure out how to, we're just floating around with our brains and just no one's ever sick and no one dies. Yeah. Like, it'll be kind of boring then, and probably sweet. I'd actually love to live in that time. But anyway, I think we're in this like real little baby infancy part of science. And so when people are like, there's no scientific evidence to back up that the moon has any effect on your body, how the fuck do you know? Like, how can you definitively say that? Like, who's even tried? Who has even tried to document that and to note that? And like, it's not like it's cancer research where there's millions of people working on it all at once, and they're like, this is your best shot if you have this kind of cancer. And they know it because they have the documents and they've, figured it out. But like, how do you, how do you even begin to get into those like deeper, more like spiritual sort of like hidden parts of the human body and psychology and stuff like that you really can't figure out through science?
It's all personal. It's not really.
Yeah, it's just like,
you could say, hey, you and I will do the exact same yoga poses and ritual and technique and stuff, but you will have a different mental and physical and spiritual experience than I will.
Yeah.
Because of our experiences and the way that we've grown up and relationships we've had and things like that. Everything will just be different because anything that requires the mind is all personal.
And that's another thing when it comes to like, I follow a bunch of pages on Reddit for mindfulness, meditation, yoga, all these things. I'm just trying to know as much as I can and get tips on things and trying to become like more consistent in doing that every day. And I'll read like a study that's like, new study shows that meditation decreases, cortisol production by 10% across the board. And you're like, wow, that's awesome, because cortisol kills you if you produce too much of it, or if you don't produce enough. Like it's the stress hormone, it's the fight or flight hormone, and if you produce too much of it, it like ages you and fucks you up and does all these things, and you're like, wow, like if you could control that with your mind and reduce the stress that you experience every day in your life, how good would you feel,
Right.
But when you read that article, you're like, oh, I don't care about, 10% reduction in cortisol, or like, oh, they say that, meditating 10 minutes every day increases mindfulness by 85%. What does that even mean?
Yeah, what defines mindfulness?
What they should, there's no way they can study it, and this is one of the limits of science. Like, what they should be saying is, like, if you focus hard enough on meditation and are consistent with it and do as much as you can to really believe in it and really focus on that center point in the middle of your mind and figure, let there be silence, see what comes up, like work through the thoughts that are holding you back, like do all those things. If you do that, you can better see the path in front of you, and you can better see, you can better experience the world around you. You won't be cranky at your daughter's 4th birthday party because your wife got the wrong cake or whatever. Like, you'll go, oh, it doesn't matter, because it doesn't. Nothing matters. But instead, people read stuff about meditation and they're like, I don't give a fuck if I'm more mindful, because they don't know. No one's even grasping the grand scope of things. So I think that science really hinders things like that. And I'm not saying that it shouldn't be documented. It should be. When they show brain scans of people meditating and consistent lifelong meditators, they're just better and more healthier than the average person for the most part, and that's awesome, and that needs to be documented and studied further. But I think it really sort of hinders people's accessibility, because they're like, I really don't give a shit about that. How is this going to help me?
Right.
When they should be like, how about you just control your brain and your body for 10 minutes every morning? You just sit down and you just
turn it off.
Yeah, and you just take what the day gives you, instead of fighting back through this big giant curtain of doom that
point, yeah.
It's just, everyone's just like fighting against this current like every day, when instead they could just like take a step back and just be there,
just be in the moment.
Yeah, and just let the things come to you, and you can choose to like whoop and just push them away,
do
or
what, I'm sorry?
You go whoop. And you can just push them away, or you can accept them. But instead, people are out there like,
fuck, my car, it has a scratch on it, and fuck. Like,
you should see the things in my day-to-day life that just do not bother me. You know what I mean? It's just like, what you only have so much time in your day. You know what I mean? And if you're spending your time focused on like bullshit, and you're like getting in this, and you're tightening up, and you're just, and you go, and you don't even know what's happening, and you're in the Carl's Jr. line, just eating this fucking cheeseburger, and then you just sit in your car and breathe heavily for a while, and then you go back to your job that you hate. Like, how are you ever gonna do that? Like, how are you ever gonna have time, even though you've heard a million times how good these things can be for you? It just doesn't connect. I think that's one of the limits of just language in general. I think we've talked about this. Like, just do it makes no sense to anybody. Like slogans, like little.
I think we have.
Yeah,
we
like,
have talked about this.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what's a slogan that you can think of? Like,
milk. It does the body good.
That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. Well, scientifically, it makes no sense. That's propaganda from the dairy industry. by the way. I'm sure whole milk from like a cow that doesn't have steroids and hormones, I'm sure that's pretty solid for you. But like
milk does the body good now because of all the steroids that are just and vitamins.
That's why we've got
naturally.
6'5" 8th graders out there.
That's a good point.
Just lifting fucking
tires
over their head.
A family member of mine, his mother is probably 5 foot. Probably 5 foot, to be honest with you. Probably 5 foot, and his father is 5'3", 5'4". He's now 6 foot.
Yeah.
How? How? And sure enough, he eats every single day, like for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, like combined, like 4 bowls of cereal with a full thing of milk. And he's one of those people that will put just a little bit of cereal and then eat it all, and then put more cereal in it all, and just will keep going until it's all evened out. So he'll drink like a whole gallon of milk every 2 or 3 days.
You ever heard of the GOMAD diet?
No.
GOMAD, like an acronym, like GOMAD. Gallon of milk a day, like GOMAD.
Okay, that's just a thing now?
Okay, apparently. So this kid on my basketball team in college did it, and he just like shat his pants. Like because I don't know what the exact number is, but apparently like a good chunk of the world is lactose intolerant.
That sounds about right.
Like, I think especially like Asian countries, like
most people just
80% or something. Yeah, and like in America, I think it's like 50 or 60% of people are like legitimate, like do not take in lactose intolerant. So drinking a gallon of whole milk a day in order to gain weight and muscle, you're probably gonna poop a lot. Well,
that's just what he likes to eat. He's just a cereal and milk boy, you know?
No, for sure. And I was the same way. I think so. I was always a big kid. I was a huge baby. Like I was 2 feet tall when I was born. I was literally 24 inches long.
Jesus.
And I was 10 pounds 9 ounces. Like I was a big.
Fuck.
My mom, who she's on her way here, by the way.
Which is why we'll have to probably just cut a conversation short in the middle of it.
Yeah, like anyways, 2 minutes, 4 minutes.
4 minutes.
She gave birth to me with no drugs, all natural.
I'm gonna give your mom the biggest handshake.
she's a superwoman. She's a powerful woman. Yeah. She got like high fives and hugs, and people just came in to like meet her after I was born. They were like, "You fucking did that with no drugs." I was just this fucking potato, just this big
a sack of potatoes. You're just like
this
your dad's forearm, just like
literally this massive thing. She did it. Yeah, she just powered through it. Did a no epidural like a fucking champ.
Good for her, man.
Yeah, good for her.
Awesome.
And the doctor, when apparently this could be all urban legend, but both of my parents insist that this happened. They handed me to her and said, "Here's your linebacker." Didn't turn out to be a linebacker, but I was always a big kid.
Yeah.
And my growth chart projected me at being like 6'8", 210 pounds. By the time the tallest and biggest, I was 6'11", 265.
Jesus.
On an all-American, steroided up bullshit diet.
All-American boy.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And I'd never felt good. Ever. There was never like...
Well, because we were at the gym, and you were like, yeah, like I learned most of this from when I was just hitting the gym, and at my biggest, I was eating just boiled chicken.
There's this hilarious meme that's like, that it's like when you realize that there's millions of people out there eating boiled chicken and unseasoned brown rice, hoping that someone will love them.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
It's so depressing, but it's true. People like commit to this like bodybuilding centric diet, which, like, yes, the human body is incredible, where, like, if you put certain things in it and stress it in certain ways, it will build and, you know, morph in this certain way. So you can get whatever results you want based on, like...
diet and exercise.
Yeah, diet, like, literally, you know... Some people choose no diet, and they have an eating disorder, and they're skinny, and that's fucked up and terrible too. You know, it's like.
But it goes the other way, where if your diet isn't maintained, your body will morph into maybe something that you don't want it to be. A
smaller, more decrepit, weaker version of yourself when you could. It's amazing, and that body and mind connection is a good thing to talk about next time too, because that's a really, really interesting thing. Because eating disorders, it's not like your stomach is rejecting the food; it's in your head.
Right.
You know. But anyway, yeah, I was at my biggest, like, I was housing down these, like, 1,200 calorie, like, meal replacement shakes with, like, 10 bananas, and I just eat this whole fucking blender and, like, 3 chicken breasts, and it was just a mess. Like, It was so gross, but it worked. I was enormous. I was really strong. Like,
and you're the best description of you is you're just like, my neck was just like this, and you cup your hands around your neck, and you
oh my god, you should see my freshman year roster picture. Like when I met Katie in college, like I was just this beef butt. I don't even have to. I can't even describe. I was just like, my neck was even with my ears. Like I didn't have like a.
I think I've seen a picture. You've shown me
probably
your picture,
yeah.
And you had earrings too, your little stud earrings.
Oh yeah, I was a douche.
Oh, yeah.
I was so like I just screamed like insecurity. You know what I mean? I was just like, look at me. I'm not secure with myself. Please help me. It's just a nightmare. But yeah, that's literally like, yeah.
That's all it was.
I think we should wrap this boy up.
Yes, that was good.
That was good.
Literally just what we'd do this whole time is just not finish stories and move on to the next one.
I think that's kind of how podcasts should be.
That's a good point.
And I think that, it'd be cool to have like a list of things we want to hit and talk about, where to keep us a little bit on track until we get good at it, because we're probably like 1% of the way there.
That's a good. Yeah.
We made our first podcast. That's the first step.
We were supposed to do this yesterday.
Well, we did it today.
It's done.
It's
now.
March 1st.
You can officially mark off that square that says first podcast episode in all caps.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's on the official lithograph whiteboard in the official lithograph office.
The first one, it's March 1st. Workout before 9 a.m. We went at like 9:15.
No, we left at 9.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, perfect.
Yeah, so we hit that.
First podcast episode is
crossing off the first podcast episode. March 1st, 2018. That's how it's supposed to be. Oh.
Next episode, we got to figure out how to. I mean, this was fun. Very like we're both sitting right now on the carpet of the desk.
I call the meditation pillow. I know you have back problems though.
I do, yeah. And that was helping at one point, but then
I'm about to develop back problems sitting like this.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's all good. All right, I got to get going.
It was good.
It was good.
I love you.
I love you. I love anybody listening.
Hey.
People.
Copernicus.
What do we say to end this?
We needed like a good little outro. What's the H3? Whoopee! What is he? He just makes like a random noise.
Lithograf.com, LITHOGRAF.com. That is your new source throughout the entire country if you would like customized, incredible, individualized video production. LITHOGRAF.com. I really can't spell like out loud well.
LITHOGRAF.
LITHOGRAF.com. Lithograph.com. Lithograph is a video production company, and what we can provide for you is listed very clearly on the website.
And the business cards that are coming in soon.
Business cards coming in soon.
Yeah.
You're probably never going to see one. They're exclusive.
Exclusive.
They're the exclusive. Just so if we sum this thing up, take care of your body, ignore Donald Trump, be nice to people.
Get a dog if everything just adds up.
Yeah,
you never know. You might meet a pretty cool person out
By
of
the
it,
way,
you know?
fun little side note for that. I had decided on Coda as a name like months before.
Describe this will be our ending story. We can't sidetrack off of it, but describe what Coda means.
Coda.
C-O-D-A.
C-O-D-A. I've met many dogs that are Coda with a K, because that means friend in...
it's a Native American...
No. I think it's Hawaiian. It's some sort of like...
Oh, okay.
It's like a Pacific Islander Polynesian thing. Coda is like friend in that language. So people do that a lot. But Coda, my dog, the mascot of Lithograph, is C-O-D-A. And that... Well, I was listening to the Led Zeppelin album whenever I thought of it, and I was like, that's just a cool word. I just like the word Coda. But it also means like a segment of your life. It's like it's an Italian word, and it means like a segment, like an ending. It's what it's supposed to be used as a medical term, or not medical, musical term.
That and literature too.
Yeah, it's like the ending. It's like to sum up everything. But the way if you interpret it really loosely, it just means like a segment of your life. And so I was like, that's kind of cool, because like Coda, for as long as he's alive, that's going to be what I'm going to call that part of my life, is like having him. I'm probably not going to have any kids by the time, he'll probably, you never know. Shit, he might live to be 15. You never know.
You never know.
Yeah, but like, yeah, that'll be that segment of my life will be basically summed up by having him, because I fucking love him. Like he's super annoying and I hate him sometimes, but that's love also,
But you were saying, you explained, I'm not going to say that you've explained it better, but you have.
Oh, definitely.
We were talking about it and you were like, a coda is a musical, like like the ending and then the beginning of something, and you also like you had just left your hometown, or where were you? You were at.
I had just left. I was leaving, so it was like the beginning of this new chapter where I was going to do video full time, and I was leaving Denver, and that was going to be my calling, and so it was all these really important things. And
you were moving to Pittsburgh again to like really invest in
and to settle it down and do everything, and that was like the first time I was like fully invested 100% of my time in that. So yeah, like getting him was that was sort of like one of my first. Not many people can pull this off, but if you're trying to get your life together, get a dog. Don't actually, because it'll probably ruin your life and you'll fail at it, and you're not going to raise a good dog, and it'll just make your life more hectic and stressful. But with me, it really worked, fortunately. I took a gamble and was like, you know what, he'll give me a structure and I'll start doing things, and sure enough. Yeah, it's a weird thing getting a puppy, but I had decided on that name for those reasons like many months before. I was like, I'm gonna name him Coda if he's a black dog, and Summit if he's a white dog. Like Summit, like the peak of a mountain, you know?
There you go.
Like white snow.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
You need to play Celeste now that you mentioned a mountain, by the way.
What'd you say?
Celeste. You need to play Celeste.
Celeste.
Now that you've mentioned a mountain.
Lithograf.com. LITHOGRAF.
.com. You don't have to put the www, but no one really does anymore.
I've registered both domains, by the way.
Does it matter?
No, but I did.
Okay, perfect.
Just in case there was any mess ups, I did it. But
good. LITHOGRAF. .com.
Lithogur as fuck.
Lithogger as fuck.
Lithogger as fuck,
Great.
dude.
All right. Cool. Well, thanks for listening.
Much love, everybody.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.
Yes.